Every now and again, when you're browsing tools online, or potentially even worse, in the shop itself, gazing through the myriad of tools on display, a bit of kit catches your eye and you've got to have it. And this is one of those. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Bridge City Toolworks Honing Guide. So as I just mentioned, the Bridge City Toolworks Honing Guide popped up on my screen and I thought instantly I must have you and place you in my possession. I didn't and don't need it. I have the Veritas Honing Guide, which does an admirable job, but this, as you're about to see, is beautiful. Not really an unboxing video, but I've got to say that the packaging is beautiful, delightful, very Apple-esque, very understated. Lovely box. I really want to find a use for the box and keep it. Anyway, let's crack on. Upon opening the box, you get the tool itself and the angle setting device that's with it. The tool itself is more like a piece of modern art than a piece of equipment. It's beautifully manufactured, diligently fashioned in aluminium, I believe would be an appropriate term. So in order to use the device, you have a right-angled guide here, the copper-coloured piece that you set your blade against. There's a top clamp to clamp the blade down to the base plate, and then there's a fine adjustment knurled knob at the back so that you can get the angle exactly as you need it, and then the brass wheel that the device rolls on. So it is beautiful, absolutely beautiful, incredibly well made. But then it bears a very hefty price tag. I did look it up. I think it was £168 on the Axminster Tools website, with which I must say I have no affiliation. There's no sponsorship of this video. I bought the thing. I parted with £168 worth of my own dosh. So let's talk about using the thing. In order to set the device, I have the blade here from my Wood River block plane. You take your blade, wind your clamp wheel up out the way, and you slip your blade in between the clamp wheel and the base. Now, the one thing I can't find reference to anywhere is the projection that the blade should be set to out the front of the guide. But once you feel you've got it in the right place, you merely clamp down the top wheel and the blade's held in, keeping it firmly pressed against this copper-coloured arm, which ensures it's at a right angle. The Veritas planing guide, let me get another blade. Here's a blade from another block plane I have in my collection. Oh, and one seriously in need of sharpening. So in order to use the Veritas comes with a angle setting guide that you clamp on the front, and you lock it off with this knurled wheel here, and then the blade is clamped in with this underslung clamp. So you slip your blade in, and then again, similar to the Bridge City, you hold the blade against this guide here and you slide it up to the stop. The stop utilizes a set of indentations dimples, one could say, that are factory set along the edge of the guide, and there's color coding on it. So I'm going to be using the yellow set of marks. You clamp down the wheel until it locates. Sorry, you clamp down the wheel lightly until it locates in the indentation, and then lock it off. So I've set on 25 degree on the yellow line. So up here on this piece, I've got this set to the yellow mark as well, and that yellow mark moves this top arm up and down the line, which increases the angle of inclination. Would that be a good term? I like the way it sounds anyway. So with those two set, you slide your blade in up against this registration arm up to that stop point, keep it in place, and then lock down the bar. So with the Veritas, the action of clamping the blade in place also sets the angle. With the Bridge City, I've clamped the blade in place, but I've as yet not set the angle, and that's where their angle setting device comes into play. You don't have to use this. You can make up your own to make it easier, and you'll see what I mean. I'll bring you in a little closer. So we want the 25 degrees. You take your honing guide with the blade securely clamped, and you place it so that the back wheel sits nice and squarely on the middle plate, and then you slide it up against the preset angle to see whether you've got it correct or not. And herein lies my issue with this device. It appears to be quite difficult to see, it does to me anyway, whether you've got this blade firmly up against that angle. Now, I don't think I have, but it's quite difficult to see whether there's any light showing. Now I can see a little bit of light right at the front here, so I'm gonna adjust that out with said wheel. It's quite a bit of resistance on the thumb wheel, to the point where I feel the need to take the device out to turn it. So I'm sure you can see by the way I'm moving around that it really is quite difficult to see whether you've got that perfectly flat. I think I have. So whilst I initially thought that the Veritas was a fiddly job to set the angle required for the blade you're sharpening, at this point in time I actually feel the Bridge City Toolworks is a far more fiddly method of setting the angle that you require. But with both set, let's get a stone out and see how they feel. So I've got my Shapton stones out. I'm using a 1000 grit to start, just making sure the locking nut is firmly off, and here we go. Well, it feels quite pleasant in the hand, although this guide bar here I can feel digging into my thumb a little bit. So if you've got a blade that's particularly bad, and you end up using this for an extended period of time, that might irritate a little bit. But apart from that, it feels very pleasant. Let's compare that directly to the Veritas. So with the Veritas, as I said, I've had this for quite a while, a number of years. And the Veritas is sculpted at the back, which makes it feel very comfortable. And my fingers naturally fall to the front of the blade to keep pressure on the front. But that could be because I've used it extensively. This shaped recess at the back is lovely and smooth, so your thumbs fit in there really nicely, and it just makes the device feel very comfortable. Along with these two angled pieces here where your fingers sit, and it just feels right. So that was about 20 minutes in total with both devices. Both of them have caused a little bit of finger fatigue. The Veritas, even though it feels nicer in the hand, as you're using the device, so your thumbs slip further and further in, and it actually ends up trapping your thumbs, or you end up trapping your own thumbs purely because you're gripping the device. The Bridge City tool works. You end up getting, my left thumb gets sore, sat on this copper guide here that's raised above the blade, so it becomes a ridge that your thumb sits on, and that makes your thumb a little sore. So both devices feel extremely well made and solid in the hand. Both devices have held the blade in place for the entire period of sharpening time. The method of setting the angle on the Veritas, before I bought the Bridge City Toolworks, I always felt that the Veritas honing guide was quite fiddly to set up. And now that I've bought the Bridge City Toolworks, gosh, that was nearly embarrassing. Now that I've bought the Bridge City Toolworks and set it up using its angle guide, it makes the Veritas feel very simple, straightforward and easy. This was really difficult to get the angle set right. In part, I believe because my eyesight's not as good as it was before, and I had to reach for my stronger pair of reading glasses. Although you could argue surely that if a tool makes you do that, it's not been designed as well as it could be. Interested to hear your comments if you have an opinion on that. So at the end of setting them both up together and using them both together, you've got to bring the price into play on a consideration between the two tools, haven't you? The Veritas, I believe, comes in at around 60 or 70 pounds. I'll put it up on the screen. I'll also put a link to both down below in the description. The link will be to a tool supplier that they are available from. I'm not by any means suggesting that that's the place they should be bought from. Other tool suppliers are available, as the saying goes. So the Veritas around the 60-70 pounds, the Bridge City Toolworks 170 pounds, 168 pounds. From that point alone, I think the Veritas will win out every time. From a usage perspective, with the device on the stone, not an awful lot to argue between the two. Both of them end up feeling a little uncomfortable over a period of time. setting the angle on the Veritas wins out over the Bridge City Toolworks, in my opinion, hands down. So I'm afraid, even though the Bridge City Toolworks is a beautiful piece of engineering, it really feels like form over function. The Veritas looks ugly and ungainly, a bit frog-like actually from this perspective, but it's definitely function over form, and that one will have my money every time. And that brings this video to a close. Thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope it will help you in deciding which honing guide you choose to go with. If you did enjoy this video, then please consider hitting that big red button with subscribe written all over it. I'd be very grateful. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Ta-ra!